Hello, Restoration Nation. This is your weekly episode of higher level education in the restoration space. My name is Matthew Sharpe. My wife and I, in 8 years, scaled the restoration company from scratch, sold to private equity, had financial freedom. And now these videos are to give back to the industry that changed our life. So we specifically focused on independent restoration work, that is mitigation, water damage, fire, contents, mold. So if you're looking at growing that side of your business, these videos are for you. So ask you like and subscribe. There's a lot of meat in all these videos. They're usually 10 to 15 minutes long because I go heavy into proven systems that work, right? And so the knowledge is all based upon having spent a ridiculous amount of money on consultants. We've hired over a dozen consultants to work on our company, and we've done tons of courses. I'm a triple master, but there's a lot of other courses to do inside restoration industry and outside. So these videos are to condense all those knowledge of what's actually tried and true, what works, what scales really quickly, and to help you guys to grow faster. So this week's video, we're going to talk about organic growth. And so organic growth in business can mean quite a few different things. So a little bit my background was I have a degree in international business. And so there's quite a lot of basic business knowledge. You don't need a degree in business, but a degree in business helps you to understand key concepts that work in business. And so one of those is, it's kind of like a factor that is crazy important is honesty, integrity, trust, having morals, values. Like if you are a trustworthy, good person and your business hires those type of people, models that behavior, then your customers are more likely going to have a long-term relationship. And so one of the things we focus on, we grew really fast, but it wasn't our focus to grow fast. Our focus was a lot on the customer experience and giving value to the customer. And so what's interesting is when you start really getting to the high levels of, like, say, people running hospitals, universities, typically those people are very professional, very ethical, have high morals, values, self-respect. And so those people, they very much understand, right, at that level, someone they can trust, someone that's very professional, someone that brings value. So the first start, obviously, for your company to grow is for you as a person to grow, right? So the greater you are as a leader, your company can follow. So that's like rule number one. And so that's where education helps, but education is part of it. I mean, there's more to your life. There's growing as for us men, as men, growing as spiritually, growing as husbands, fathers, family members, if you have kids. There's a lot of character growth that we can obtain. And so obviously there's knowledge and business growth and industry growth. So when you're growing and physically, you can also grow healthier and stronger and all those type of things. So if you're well-rounded and balanced in those areas of your life and you're constantly growing in those areas, naturally the world around you will grow, meaning your company. So especially growing as a leader when you run a company. So that's a good point to foster all those things. And as you grow in maturity, then your company and those underneath you will grow as well. So that's basic rule number one. Number two, we've seen in a lot of businesses, again, back to the morals, ethics, values. So you can grow into this, but a lot of it's kind of who you're born with. And so you can experience God, try to go to church and, change of living more of an immoral life. But we've seen a big difference. So in companies where in our area that the owners tend to be more unethical, right? We've all seen it in the restoration space. And probably if you are watching these videos, that doesn't align with you, you're probably not going to watch it very much anymore. But the companies that were unethical, meaning they cheated their subcontractors all the time, or they just were looking for the one-time burn, like I'm going to hit this customer to the max amount of money I can get and go on to the next one. And so a lot of times you see these companies, and they can even be good people at times, they just have a bad concept of business and understanding the long term of business versus short term. I've even had, contractors I hired to work on my own homes or properties, and, they want to charge me the max amount, do the least amount of work, and just squeeze every penny they can. And I can feel that, I can see that, and I'm not going to hire them again. But the contractors that are fair reasonable, put their heart in what they do quality. They could even be a little expensive, but if they're really producing that value for me and that experience, I don't mind it, right? And so that's the nature of the game. And I'm going to call them back and they can have repeat business for life. And so for you running your company, are you looking for one-offs? Are you looking, so for example, if I go to a commercial property, I go to a property complex, right? Let's say there's 50 units there, okay? And I'm our whole company, our team, our guys, our techs, our project managers, they're all trained. Hey, if you guys hit a home run out of this park with this single unit or these 3 units are flooded, we can build a relationship with the management of that apartment complex and work with them for hopefully forever, okay? So it's organic growth. You can convert your existing clientele into repeat business for the long run, okay? But you have to charge fairly, you have to give a great customer experience, you have to build relationship with these people, your team does, and find a way in, and hopefully that can be a great thing. So I might, want to lose a little money on the battle between the back and forth, hoping that I'm going to win a relationship with this, entire building, right? So, and, so there's a whole, if I'm ethical and trustworthy and doing a good job of customer experience, hey, they're going to reuse me. They're going to build a relationship for long-term growth. So that's one thing we did. So even if you're doing TPA work and you're getting called out for a State Farm on a apartment complex or multi-unit, townhouses or something, and hey, now I can still convert that. If I can convert and win over that HOA, I can convert, whoever the deciding people are, sometimes whoever's head of the board out there that tells everybody about you. And it's basically creating cheerleaders. If I can create cheerleaders and create an awesome customer experience, I can win that whole, group of houses, again, multiple unit buildings, whatever, over to repeat clients. And so many people that we've worked for, you never know. A little homeowner could be a property manager. He could be an insurance adjuster. It could be all different kinds of stuff. So if you treat every job as, we're hoping to convert this person to cheerleader, build a long-term relationship for repeat business, that'll naturally, over time, your company should grow. Okay. And again, we've seen tons of companies in our area. They just, every job is a one and done, a burn to the max. They're just doing maybe even shoddy work. Maybe they're fairly priced, but they're just have horrible workers. There's no customer experience. They're doing shoddy work. I can't tell you how many times some of the big franchise names, people hired them. They worked on their house when they didn't know our company, and they said, they destroyed my house. They put dust everywhere. It was a nightmare, or they just leaned me, and, it was a nightmare. I was in the pickle between the insurance company and whatever. And so it's just if you actually have ears open to hear that. And so, okay, how can I design my company and our processes to create that customer experience? Now, software can't really do that for you. It can help you in some of that, but really it's a design of how you train everybody to approach each job to accomplish that. So you can really grow your business in the long run, a large scale by doing that. So very well-known law firms, hygienists, they would know that we do quality, we do excellence, we care, we're integritous, and we're not out there doing the one and dones. And so they would tell all the industry professionals that they know, hey, go with, such and such company, go with this guy, dude. The dude is he's the real deal. He's knowledgeable. He's ethical. He does what's right. And that really precedes you. Your reputation is gold. It's everything. It goes far. Okay. And so again, I encourage you, if you've had a one and done mentality and sucking every job to the max, okay, you still got to make your profit. There's nothing wrong with that. But, what is your customer retention ratio? Okay. How many people are calling you back? How many people are referring you? See, there's a basic principle in business that every person knows 250 people, and they say you're about 3 people away from the president. So if those people, most companies that grow crazy fast, they are around nationwide, and they're really strategic on sales, and they're independent. They're asking for referrals. So after you've blown the job out of the park, to the customer, hey, do you know anybody that would like to build a relationship with us? Okay. Do you know anyone that may be a plumber or a property manager or an insurance adjuster? Do people know people? Do you know someone that, owns multiple properties? And so sure enough, yes, okay, well, I'll give you a little Starbucks gift card. Take something to get something, right? I'll give you a Starbucks gift card, or whatever, I'll drop off a bottle of wine if you can connect me with that person. And so, boom, now you built a new relationship. That new relationship opens the door to tons of more jobs. And so we basically scaled and grew, not necessarily like we did business development, we did online leads, but by making the most out of the leads that we were already getting. That is, one of the summaries, definition of organic growth. So here's another tidbit, gold nugget, right? When you get a phone call for a water damage, right? Okay, is there a plumber on site? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, great. Which plumber is it? Okay, and if you think about it, right? Why is that plumber not calling their buddy restoration company that's giving them, referral fees or whatever, or they have a relationship or connected to? Because they don't have a relationship or they don't like the relationship that they were working with, right? And so a lot of plumbers, if you go talk to them, we want to build relationships. So some of them were like, we don't work with any restoration companies. They'll like rip off the job. They'll destroy the relationship with the customer, and we'll get blamed because we referred such and such restoration company out there. So again, your reputation is oozing out in the whole world around you. And so you're supposed to get famous in your local market first, famous for what you do, well known for what you do. We were the number one company in our county, and everybody knew who we were. Okay, and so again, the plumbers knew we were ethical, we did what's right. And I would say to those plumbers, hey, well, you never tried us, you never referred us, we don't stiff our customers, we don't cheat our customers. And after a while, they would see that, they would get to know that, give us a chance, let us, help one of the customers, let us help your house. If one of your employees' house floods, let us help it. We're here to help you guys all, win-win-wins for everybody. That's what business is all about. And so sure enough, they would build trust with us, they know we're ethical, they'd start using us, they would refer us, okay, we take care of them, they take care of us. And so, there's a huge amount of business you can grow, even if you're doing TPA work or you're doing mostly construction, you want to add water damage just by, being ethical, building cheerleaders, your reputation and doing what's right. It'll go such a long way, especially because people know that in the history, like people see insurance claims and they want to just rip off and see the golden dollars on their side. You've probably seen customers like, I'm going to get rich off this claim, right? And so anyway, so I just really encourage you to don't view business that way. Don't view every job that way. Don't view every customer that way. Again, this is for local, growing independent work. All right. And so, so back to the plumbers, right? So if I'm calling and they say they don't have a plumber working with, well, okay, please, do you mind connecting us? Or I'm going to go reach out to that plumber and build a relationship with them. So I already know that there's a plumber running around out there who is not in a relationship with the restoration company. I already have a plumber. Hey, we were on the same job there. And then what you can do is you can, instead of getting 5-star reviews for yourself, go on, Yelp, Google, leave a 5-star review for that plumber. Hey, who is this person leaving a review for me? Why did they leave a review for me? They did a great job at such and such address. The customer was very happy, blah, blah, blah. Now you've helped their company. You opened a door for you to be able to build relationship with them. So just by simply, when you're already having your office manager, whoever's answering phones, your dispatcher is answering the phones, just by asking one extra question, did you have a plumber there? Who is the plumber? That opens the door for your business development team, for yourself, for your smaller operation, to go follow up with that lead. So there's an organic lead. You already got the lead, however you've gotten it come in. And now you have an opportunity to go build a new relationship. And again, every customer you already have is an opportunity to connect you to another relationship. So this goes on and on and on. If you look at business that way, like your entirety of your business and your whole customer experience, a lot of business development is the same. It's like, hey, can you connect me? I had a great meeting with you. We're working with you. Everything's going well. Hey, is there anyone else in your industry can you connect me with? Because these people know people. One hospital knows another hospital. One university knows another university. One property manager knows another. Insurance adjusters know another. Hygienists know all these people, on and on and on. And so you just build all these connections. Your reputation precedes you. You end up becoming friends with all these people. And so another thing is like, some companies, they'll build their relationships off, say alcohol, partying, have a good time, doing fun things. And that may work for some type of people that like to do that. But some of the very higher up people, they can engage over drinks, but they'll more want professional ways of engaging, typically through business, maybe a round of golf, maybe dropping them off a cup of coffee. And so we have a whole lot of other approaches of how we brought value to these high level people that, cost us a ton of money to develop and years of trial and error. But those are some of the keys you can implement right away and start bringing value. And you could really easily pull 10-20% out of your company just by doing that. My last video, I was talking a lot of legal, but hinted on sales. So just by having a better closing sale ratio of doing more, if you're doing independent work, getting more out of the sales that you're already doing, if you are already closing the leads better. So for example, if you're having like a 50 to 60% close, if you can bring that up to 70 to 80% close, you can make more money with your existing leads. Or if you're already doing water damage, if you're adding contents, you can bring a higher percentage of money on per jobs. So there's a lot of different things that you can do just with the exact same amount of call. Like, in order to track your closing ratio in sales, you have to track that. It's like what jobs did I go to? Did I close that? So you need good software to do that, or you can do it off paper, but you need to weekly track that. So you really got to have good systems in place. Software can really be key to implementing a lot of these strategies. There's a whole growth that happens when you learn to run off software. That's another video that we can talk about. But even the person on the phone should be professionally answering, setting up the sale. We call it a pre-sale. So she's helping to close the deal by saying a certain script, she, in order to close that deal, right? So I'm increasing my closing ratio just by the phone call. So you can track how many phone calls did we get? What was the type of situation that was there? What was our percentage of closing? So am I tracking the phone calls in and how we are closing that? Because you can be losing a ton of jobs right at the phone call. You can be losing a ton of jobs your sales closing ratio. So again, all these things, if you kind of, a lot of times when we start working with companies, we go look at these areas and we fix that stuff, and we can oftentimes squeeze $500,000, $1 million, depending on the company, size of the company, maybe more, just off of the current volume that they're getting in, not increasing advertisement, not increasing, any more real costs, real substantial costs to do that. Just with what is already there, you can bring a lot more money out of, and of course, efficiency of your guys, and even the types of jobs you're focusing on. So, I've talked a lot about before of like, okay, if your margins aren't great on reconstruction, if you focused all that energy into water mitigation, where your higher margins are, and focus on developing that side of your company, with your same amount of employees and people and labor and everything, you can make way more money, way more profits, right? Who cares what volume you're doing? You care about what the profits that you're doing, right? So if we focus and grow the side of our company that's most profitable, and scale that, and maybe scale down our recon, then it's with our same amount of people, or same amount of marketing, or same amount of everything, we can make way more money. All right. So this is a real introductory video on organic growth. And one last tidbit, this video is a little bit long, but in business, back to business school, they talked about if companies work together, they're going to make way more money than working apart. So for example, if Coca-Cola and Pepsi work together instead of fighting against each other, and I'm going to take this part of the market, you're going to take this part of the market, okay, well then we can set our prices and we both can win together, right? That's kind of probably Coke and Pepsi are not working together, but you get the idea. So theoretically, so if I'm friends with my competitors and I kick them jobs when I'm overwhelmed, or I kick them mold jobs that I don't want, or they kick me like packbacks, or sometimes whatever it be, I use their extraction truck, they'll use us for large loss equipment, it could be a bunch of different things. But if I genuinely have a relationship, I'm helping, I know them. Whenever you work with your competitors, and there's a high likelihood that it's going to benefit everybody. But you can only really have a relationship, again, with people that are trustworthy and ethical, and people that want a relationship, and they understand the value of, even though we're in the same market, that, us working together produces value for us both, and it's a give and take, right? So even those type of things can, versus I'm my lone ranger, I'm against everybody, I don't like relationships. Go be by yourself. You're just hurting your own company. This is basic business 101. So there's quite a lot of very strong gold nuggets that you can pull a lot of out of your company with. But the hard part is how do you get out of the day-to-day grind? How do you get out of putting out fires, and how do you actually implement these strategies into your company? That's the real key thing for you to figure out to take your company to the next level. So thanks for watching this video. Watch the other ones. We got more to come. Have a great weekend.